This is Gemara in Kiddushin, Daf Pei Aleph. And we're holding on the bottom of Pei Amid Beis, 10 lines from the bottom. The two dots, the first word on the line is Avol. Avol Isha Achas. Today's shir has been generously sponsored, and all the Schus HaTeira should bring Yoel ben Frumat Aliza an incredible and complete Refuah Shalema B'siyata Dishmaya. The learning Talmud Torah, every schos of Torah should bring an incredible refuah shlema to Yoel ben Frumat Eliza. And we pick it up on the bottom of Avol Isha Achas, continuing the halachos of Yichud from the Mishnah, that one woman can, yes, be secluded with two men. Why? For the simple reason, as we saw in Rashi, that a man is embarrassed of his friend, he will not do an Aveira in front of a peer. Omar Rav Yehuda Marav Leishanu Ela Biksherim. The earth-shattering line that this halacha in the Mishnah that two men do not have an Isser Yichud, says the Gemara, that is only Biksherim. Aval Biprutzim Afilu Be'asara. Even if there are 10 men, Nami loy, it still is an Isser Yichud. Says the Gemara, Have Maisa, there was a story, Vayotziu Asara B'mita, there was a story in which 10 men carried a woman out to pretend that she was nifter in order to do an Aveira with her. We see that when it comes to Prutzim, even 10 people will do an Aveira in proximity of each other. Continues the Gemara with more rayas, 5 lines from the bottom. Amar Rav Yosef Teida, I'll bring you a proof. Timachavri be'asara v'ganvi kshura. 10 people got together and stole one beam. V'loy michtavi me'adadi, and they weren't embarrassed. Again, we see that when it comes to prutzim, they're willing to commit the crime. They're willing to do aveiros even in front of each other. Says the Gemara, name of Misayele. Let's bring another raya. We give the Saita to Talmidei Chachamim Shavolav V'derech. Talmidei Chachamim in Shidi Almalai. Says the Gemara that by the Saita, why do we send two Talmidei Chachamim to accompany them? Seemingly, says the Gemara, the reason is because of Talmidei Chachamim. Because we want to ensure that we need 2 men so that there's no Isser of Yichud. So says the Gemara, clearly the implication seemingly is that in Shidi Alma, if there were 2 regular people, then there would, yes, be an Isra of Yichud because they're prutzim. Says the Gemara, Loi, no, Raya, why? Shiny Talmidei Chachamim, Tiyadu La'asurei Bey, because they know how to give Hasra, to warn on the road that if the husband is going to be together with his wife, then the May Saita will not do its job, and that's the reason why you need to Talmidei Chachamim, not because of the Isser of Yichud. Continues the Gemara on the top line of Pei Aleph Amud Aleph. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, teaches Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Loishanu. This din is not true. Elo Be'ir. Another so important rule in all of Hilchos Yichud. Avol ba'derech, on the road, and we'll see that nighttime is the same din as a derech. Ad shiyu shleisha. You need an additional shaymer. 2 men is enough be'ir, 2 men is enough in a house, but ba'derech you need 3. Why? Shema yitzarich echem hem lahashtin. One might have to use the bathroom. And therefore creating a situation of yichud. Says the Gemara, name of Messiah, let's bring a raya to this. Most of the Shami Avala Aderech. Trey V'iyu. Hatlasa, it's 3 people. Says the Gemara, no, Hasam, Kechad, and Havi Alei Sadi. The reason why we need 3 people over there is so that they have Edim to ensure if anything happens, we have 2 witnesses that witness this story. Rav Yehuda say the Gemara story Havikazli Orcha Havikazliahu Isasakamayu. They were going on the road and there was a certain woman walking in front of them. Amar le Rav Yehuda Dal Karech Makmi Gehenim. So Rav said to Rav Yehuda, pick up your feet, run in front of Gehenim. Meaning, let's get away from this woman. Amar le Amar Huda Amar Bechsherim Shabertam. What do you mean? but you're the one that says that if you're kosher, if there's two people, then there's no Isser Yichud. So why are you saying that we should stay away from this woman because of Gehanim, because of Isser Yichud? Omar le mi yemar de kasherim kigoyin ano. Did I say kasherim like myself, Va'at and you, el kigoyin mai? Kigoyin Rav Chanina Rav Papi v'chaver, of those were ksherim, but we were not ksherim. And this is one of the largest machlekes in all of Hilchas Yichud, whether there is a heter of ksherim nowadays. Meaning, if we were to paskin like this final step of the Gemara, then the whole concept of ksherim falls out the window. Because if Rav and Rav Yehuda were not ksherim, certainly we are not. However, if we don't baskin like this maskana, then there is the concept of ksherim, and this is a fight between Sfardim and Ashkenazim, Machaber and Ramah. The Machaber is a mekel that there could be a concept of ksherim nowadays, whereas the Machaber is machmir, whereas the Ramah is mekel. Continues the Gemara on another halacha of Yichud Amar Rav Malkin al Yichud Bavein Oisrin al Yichud. The act of Yichud could cause one malchus, but it will not cause to say that they are also. Amar Rav Ashi, Lo Yamar Na'al B'Yichud Penuya. That's only if one is miyachid with a single girl. Aval B'Yichud Eishes Ish Loi. Why? Meaning we won't even give malchus. Why? Now we don't want to be Moitzi Laz on our children, that the children are usher, and therefore we won't give malchus. Marzutra Malki Umachris. Marzutra argued and he gave malchus. He's just machris that they're giving malchus for a yichud. Rav Nachman Mivarhati Rav Ashi. Rav Nachman from Baratia said to Rav Ashi, Mar Nami Lelki Velechris. Why don't you do the same thing like Mar Zucha, give malchus and announce? Amalei Ika the Shama Baha. Shama Baha is the problem with all rumors. Someone might only hear part of it, and therefore he didn't feel that it was enough of a safeguard to give malchus and announce afterwards why they gave malchus. Amar Rav continues the Gemara, Malkin al Loitaiva Shmua. We give malchus for when there's a bad shmua that someone didn't have Vera Shenamar al Bini Loitaiva Hashmua. For such a bad tiding, for a bad shmua, we can give malchus. Mar Zutra Maisev. Mar Zutra would do what? Maisev Afsira al Kasbe. He would put something on the shoulders of the people, Markele al Banai, and read the pasuk. This means, what does it mean? He put them on the shoulders. He means he would give them malchus and he would read them the parsha of al Banai. Continues the Gemara on the Isser Yichud Amar Rav. Another heter. Baila Ba'ir. Ein Chayshem Misham Yichud. Really, we're getting the whole gamut of Hilchas Yichud. If one's husband is in the city, then that woman is impervious to Hilchas Halachis of Yichud. Amar Rav Zutra. Another heter. Pasach Basuach L'Shus Rabbi Chayshem Misham Yichud. Rabbi B'Yeklai Rav Yosef. Basa Dekarach Rifta. Rabbi visited Rav Yosef after he ate the bread. Amar Lahu, Rav Yosef said to them, Shekuli Darga Mituzei, remove the ladder from under Mitute Bivi. Says the Gemara of Amar Rabba Baila Be'ir Chayshim B'Shem Yichud. What's the problem? This was Baila Be'ir. Says the Gemara Sheni Rav Bibi, the Shavavinso Havai. Rav Bibi is different, that he is a close friend. The Gaisi Bey, and she felt familiar with him. And this is the Chumrah of Liboy Gasba. This could be often by cousins, perhaps by co-workers, that if one is more familiar, it doesn't mean necessarily in an appropriate way, as we're seeing for the Gemara, he certainly wasn't inappropriate with her. Just means the more familiarity could potentially lead to Aveira, and that's the reason why there's extra room for Chumrah. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rav Kahana, Anoshim Yibachotz V'Noshim Ifnem. And I'll preface that this case that the Gemara is about to bring, what the case itself is a machlekes rishonim, which thereby plays into practically the halacha. So we're going to go with Pashim Shat, as always, but just to know, there's a lot more going on over here. We have men in an outside room. V'nashim b'fneim, a woman in an inside room, ein chayshin mishom yichud. We're not worried about yichud, but on the flip side, anashim b'fneim, v'nashim b'chutz, chayshin mishom yichud. And the simple explanation is why. If the men are in the inside room and the women are in the outside room, why are we worried about yichud? Because we just said that two women does not safeguard from yichud, because they'll do an avera in front of each other. So if one man potentially is going to walk through the outside room, therefore we could have a potential situation of yichud. B'masnita tana ibcha. In a Mishnah, it said the opposite, which is part of the reason why understanding pshat over here is not so simple. B'masnita tana ibcha, amar Abaya, hashtam Rav Kana achi. Now that we have that, and the Mishnah says the opposite, no, David al Chumra, I paskind li Chumra. Abaya Dar Gulfi concludes this section of Gemara. Abaya would put a row of jugs as a machitza between him and the woman. Rava Dair Kani. Rava would arrange rows of reeds. Amar Ravin Sikba Dishata Regla. Says Ravin, the sore spot of the year is Regel. Why? Because at the Yom Tovim, people hang out and could come to Averis. Says the Gemara, now let's show how incredible the Yetzer Hara is, which on the one hand is going to portray crazy stories, but on the other hand is really incredible chizik, as it's going to show us how careful one has to be from the Yetzer Hara. Hanoch Shavavise the Asil and Hardai, where the fourth wide line of Pe'alef and Beis, there was a certain Shavavisa captured woman that after she was released, she came to Nardaya, Skula Bei Ravam, they brought it to Ravam Chasida, Ashkula Darga Mika Mayu. And Ravam Chasida, she was on the second floor, took away the ladder from in front of her. But as one of these redeemed women were passing by the hole in the attic, Chadaminayu Nafal Neura Bipuma, a light shone through that hatch, and Shakla Rav Amar Ladargan Rav Amram obviously got a glimpse or understood that there were women there. What did he do? He grabbed the ladder. A ladder is that 10 people would not be able to carry on their own. The power of the Yetzer Hara, the burning desire inside of him allowed him to pick up a ladder, which usually requires 10 people to lift. And he lifted it on his own, Salik va'azal, and he lifted it and he ran. Kimata lepalga darga, and he put the ladder by the hole and he started ascending. He started ascending the ladder, and once he's halfway up the ladder, Ishbech, he spread his feet, Ramakala, and he screamed, Nu Rabbi Amram. As he's ascending the ladder, picture the case. The Heliger of Amram, unfortunately, seemingly about to commit a terrible atrocity. What did he do? He didn't just stop and jump down the ladder. He started screaming, Nu Rabbi Amram, there's a fire. The house of Rav Amram, Asar Rabbanan, the Rabbanan same, and they found Rav Amram. Can you imagine the scene? On the ladder, about to go up to these women. Amr Leik is Pitroin. So the Rabbanan said to Rav Amram, it's an embarrassment. Amr Lahu, says Rav Amram, the famous words. Mutav tichsafu be'amram be'alma hadeit. I'd rather be embarrassed in this world. And I don't want to be embarrassed in the next world. Rav Amram felt the Tahara leaving and it left him like a pillar of fire. Rav Amram said, you're a fire and I am flesh. And I am even greater than you after Rav Amram conquered his Yetzer Hara. An incredible story. Another story, Rameir would literally laugh and scoff at sinners. Satan appeared to Rameir like a woman. Baki said in on the other side of the river, and there wasn't a bridge to cross the river. What did Rameir do? Nakan Mitzra, he took a rope, and he managed, the rope was from one side to the next, and he managed, whether it means he tied rope or he held on, and he crossed the river. Kimata Balga Mitzra Shavke, when he reached halfway, what happened? The Satan let him go, whatever that means, meaning the desire left him. Amar, He allowed to come achras berakia azure berameir, if not for the fact that they announced in heaven. Be careful with Rameir v'tarasa ishaviti ledemach tarti ma. I would have made your life worth 2 ma, meaning I would have made your life worth nothing. She would have been over this Aver, says the Satan to Rameir. Similarly, Rabbi Kiva mislicenses by Aver, he would also laugh at those who do Averis. Yom Achad of Leis Satan kids Reish Dekel on top of a Dekel tree, Naktila Dekel Avikasalik. So what did Rameir do? He began to go up to the tree to meet this woman. Vazal Kimatal Apal Dekel Shavke. When he went halfway up, the Satan let him be Amar, and he said he loved him. Achzav Berakia. If not for the fact that they announced in heaven, is Ahuri Berakiva, be careful, Berakiva Terasa Shavdis Ilatamach. Tarti Maya would have made you worth 2 ma. I mean, I would have made you worth nothing. And the third story, Plimu, which is his name, have a ragul emeimer kol yema, 5 lines to the bottom. He was accustomed to say every day, Gira be'ina de Satan. He would say, make an arrow shmi in the eyes of the Satan. Yom Echan Mali Yom Kippur Avos Erev Yom Kippur. Edmulei Kanya, the Satan appeared like him like a pauper. Also Kara above, and he knocked on the door. Afikulei Rifta. So he gave him bread. Amar Le Yoma. And so this perceived pauper says to Plimu, everyone is inside eating and I should stand outside. So I leave a karvelei rifta. So he brought him inside and he gave him what to eat. Amar lei. So then this presumed pauper, which of course is the Satan in disguise, says to him, a day like today, everyone's at the table, and I eat by myself. So they brought him and he sat him at the table. So he was sitting there and he was eating until he was full. And what happened? And his body became filled with boils and sores. And he started doing things at the table that were disgusting. So Amar Lei, so Plimai says to this guy, what is going on over here? Tiv Shapir, sit normally. Stop being disgusting. You're a guest. You had spoken in this interesting way, and I brought you into my table. So what are you doing? Sit normally. Amar Lei, Havali Kisa. Give me Havali Kisa, give me a cup of wine. Yavale Kisa, give him a cup of wine. Echmar. And what happened? Shadar Bey Kichoy. He took the cup and he coughed up phlegm into the cup. Nicharu Bey, they yelled at him, Shakiyumas. And therefore he appeared as if he died. Shama, they heard Davi Kamri, Plima Katal Gavra, and everyone was talking about Plimai, killed a man, Plimai Katal Gavra, Arak Vitasha Navshei, Bebezaki say. So Plimai is nervous that they're going to come and take him away. So what did Plimai do? Plimai went and he hid in the Bezaki say, he hid in the outhouse at the edge of the city in order that the government officials don't find him. Azul Basrei. So the Satan, who is lying on the floor pretending to be dead, ran after Plimai to the Beis HaKisei in the fields. Nafel kameh kichazi davi mitztayer. What happened when the Satan saw that Plimo was suffering? Galilei Nafshei revealed himself, and Amar Lei, my time Amar Tachi. Plimo said, why did he do this whole crazy story? Vela heiche Amar. Excuse me, Amar Hachi. Excuse me, the Satan said, why did you always say to put an arrow in the eye of the Satan? Amar le lemamar. Excuse me, velehecha ve'ela velehecha ema. So Blima said, what should I say? Amar le, Satan said, you should say lemamar rachame nigar be Satan. You should daven that Hashem should give techacha to the Satan, but the Satan said you shouldn't daven that there should be an arrow in the eye of the Satan. Continues the Gemara on the first wide line of Pei Aleph Amid Beis. Rav Chia bar Ashi have a rogel called Idan have a nafal lape. Rav Chia bar Ashi was because every time he would fall on his face, he would say Tachnun have a Amar Harachman Atzleim Yitzhara. He would daven to be safe in the Yitzhara. His wife heard, and the wife was wondering, what in the world is he saying? Amra, she said, Michti, let's see. So many years that he hasn't been with me. So the wife of Rav Chia is wondering, why is my husband not been with me for so many years and he's davening? My taima kamar achi. Why does he say this? Meaning she thought her husband was elderly. And now she wants to know why he's davening to be saved from the Yitzhak Hara, from the Satan. Yom Echad, Avik garden begins. One time, Rav Chia was learning in the garden. Kashta nafshei. What happened? She, his wife, adorned herself with perfumes. Chalfis v'tanya kamei. And she started walking back and forth in front of her husband. Amar la, so her husband Rav Chia said, Manat, who are you? Amra, she said, Ana charusa, tahadri miyayma. And she pretended that she was charusa, a certain known zaina, tahadri miyayna, that came back for a day. Tavah. So the Heilige Rav Chia thought she was a zaina and asked her to have an aveira. Amar lei. She said to him, Aisi mi'alei lahach rumna dereish susisa. She said to him, bring me the pomegranate on the top of the branch. Shaval Azar Isa Nalei. He went, he jumped, and he brought the pomegranate to her. Kiyasa lebeise. When they got to the house, Havikashagra, Bisu Tanura. His wife was eating up the oven. Salik. He went, he went and he sat inside the oven. Amr alei, my eye. She says, what are you doing? Why are you sitting in the oven? Amr Allah, he said, he said that this is what happened. I was in the learning and this woman appeared in front of me and I thought she was a Zaina and I gave her a pomegranate. So says, he gave her a pomegranate. They actually did a maisa zinos, which he thought was zinos. So he comes home and he feels all bad. He goes to sit in the oven. His wife says, what's going on? So he tells her the whole story. So Amr Lei, his wife says, Anavai! It wasn't an Aveira. It was me. I dressed up like the Zaina. He didn't listen to her. He didn't believe her. Until she brought him the siman. She brought him the pomegranate. Amar La. So he said to her, still, I had bad intentions. It's true, I was with my wife, but I thought that she was a Zaina. All the days of that tzaddik he fasted till he died that very death. Says the Gemara, fascinating story again, proving the power of the Yitzhak Hara, that even Rav Chia, of course, he didn't end up doing an Aveira, but he thought that he was doing a Maisa Aveira. And we conclude, we're going to pull up a little early, as tomorrow's daf is a job shorter. The Tanya, proving what we just said, that even the thought of an Aveira is an Aveira. Isha Efeiram Hashem Yitzlach La. Pasuk says that her husband has given her Musar and Hashem will forgive her. A woman says she's a Nazir, her husband hears the husband annuls her Naziris. But he and she doesn't know that the husband annulled the vow. But and she goes, and she drinks wine, and she comes to tummy to mace. And in this pasuk we see that she still needs a kapara, proving the story with Rav Chia that he thought he didn't have air, and that was enough for a reason that he needed a kapara. Says the Bryce Rav Akiva, when he reaches pasuk, he would cry, Amar Mami he thinks he's eating something not kosher, but in the end he eats something kosher. Amra Taran yes the Slicha. Misha is Kavi and Lecho Basach Hazir, Balabiad Chazir, Lachas Kama, Vakama, they need to Kabara. Kiyotz Batav, similarly at Aimer, Vlayadav Asham Vinasa Avainai. Shahir Avikiva, Magia, the Basik Zaya Baichi would cry, Umami, is Kavi Lecho Shuman. Valabiad Chaylev. He wanted to eat, he was niskavin to eat Shuman. He was Gavin. He was coming to eat shuman, kosher fat. He didn't have era. Misha is coming lechel chaylev to eat something not kosher. And he ate not kosher. Allah has come v'kami. So when Yehuda Amar v'lo yadav Hashem v'nasa avaynai al davar zeh yivadu kol ha'dayvim. On this matter, all the sensitive people grieve and cry over the fact how incredible is the din. We're going to stop over here, halfway down by Alpha and Beis. Tomorrow, B'siyata D'Shmaya, we'll be concluding the final daf of Daf Pei Beis. Siyum Seder Nashim. Looking forward to Baba Kama in just 2 more days.